going from Paramount Pictures where you have everything to nonprofit where it's like, can we afford pens?
I know.
Can we buy the good Sharpies or do I need to go to the dollar store for Sharpies? You know how that is.
I do really know.
Wow.
Oh, they answered my call yesterday, but they don't answer my call today.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, got it.
Oh, when I had that logo under me, I could get anybody, anything.
Yeah.
Now it's like trans chorus, like who is that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who? How'd you get this number?
Hi, Gay. I'm PJ Brescia, they, them pronouns, your host of the BabyGay Podcast and the founder of the BabyGay community, celebrating the coming out process through storytelling, advocacy, and togetherness. I came out later in life and I knew nothing about queer culture. I'm still not an expert, so let's go on a journey of self-discovery together with amazing guests, diverse coming out stories, LGBTQI plus history, and everything in between. This is the BabyGay Podcast. Coming out looks good on you. Welcome to the BabyGay Podcast. We are here at the Black Cat in Silver Lake, California, the historic establishment with the incredible Abby Hall.
Abby, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I felt such, like, honestly, an instant connection to you when we first got connected.
Yeah.
And we also have so many parallels, and I definitely want to go through all the different parallels, but entertainment, gender, acting. I also I didn't realize that you went to Howard Fine.
Oh my God, you did research.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Howard Fine.
Yes, I love that school.
It was incredible. That changed my life.
Yes. Howard Fine did the Meisner with with Martin Barter, and then comedy with Leslie Kahn.
I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about. I have so many cards. So you're the artistic director of the Trans Course of LA.
Yes.
So that's how we met. So I guess we could start there. Do you want to? Okay, great. So tell me about that.
Don't make me plug my chorus.
Yeah.
So the Trans Course of Los Angeles is America's premier trans-identified chorus made up of trans men, trans women, gender non-conforming, gender non-binary individuals like myself, and intersex individuals, and we sing the house down. Mm-hmm. We're not the first trans chorus in America. I got to give props and flowers to Transcendence from 1983.
Wow.
So we've been around for a while.
Wow.
But TCLA started in 2015.
Okay.
We're about to have our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
We're about to have...
When is it?
Our 10-year anniversary is in October.
Okay.
So we're hoping to have like some kind of gala or just some kind of award ceremony.
Okay.
Depending on funding and things like that.
Yep.
So investors, hi.
Yeah, hey.
But we started out in 2015 and it was all based on, I did some research of this. I've heard the story. But in 2015, Glee did an all-trans chorus of 200 trans-identified people. Wow. And that was kind of the spark. So from that spark, from how the story goes, Gay Men's Chorus of LA said, hey, let's do a trans chorus. And then they realized, hey, we're not trans. So it just so happened that the artistic director of GMCLA, his husband, knew Lindsay Deaton from Cincinnati, who's a trans woman, all through HRC. So they connected with Lindsay. Lindsay heard about creating a trans chorus, came to LA, and she's the founder of Trans Chorus of Los Angeles. I will always give her props. It sparked off from a little Glee episode.
Wow.
And from there, it just moved forward and forward. Lindsay ran the chorus for about 2 years, and I've been running it for the past, seven and a half years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you've done so much, and I could start listing off the accomplishments, but I'd love to hear from your perspective, from you when you started to now, kind of the growth and just the incredible different opportunities like the White House.
So
amazing.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of where to start.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's great about this course, about the Trans Course of Los Angeles, is music has been engendered for so long. So they say men sing tenor bass, women sing alto soprano. Well, our motto is a voice is a voice. And we're changing the narrative of trans from victim to victorious through song. That's our main motto. And so voices being engendered is really silly, because if you have, let's say, a little boy and a little girl and they're singing soprano, why is it they call the little boy a boy soprano, but the girl is just a soprano? He happens to be a boy who sings in a soprano range.
Right.
That's how I look at it. And so we audition our singers, you know, just because you might identify as one way doesn't mean you're going to sing that way.
Right.
But also we put a lot of pride in wherever your voice is. We have men that sing soprano. We have women that sing bass baritone. I love a trans woman with a lower voice in that tenor section and the bass baritone section, because it really just shows, one, it shows pride. Two, it just shows that you love using the voice that you were given. Every one of us are on a voice journey, a vocal journey. You know, they say, oh, a guy should sound like this and a girl should sound like this. Well, my voice has sounded like this since I was a kid. I've always sound like Wheezy from the Jeffersons. So that's how it really is. What are you going to do with that voice? How you use that voice is what we do at TCLA. And also giving opportunity to singers to sing where they feel the most comfortable, where they really know their voice. Like we have a soprano named Matheon, she, her. Matheon is this amazing coloratura. Now, if you're not sure what a coloratura is, go listen to anything by Marian Anderson. Very high, high voice, the most angelic Ave Maria you would ever hear. Now, on any other chorus, they would probably put her in a different musical section based on birth assignment, but not in this course. So that's what we do. We open up opportunity.
That's so incredible.
Thank you.
Tell me about the experience with, because you did, if I did my research right, the inauguration of Biden and Kamala.
We've done a lot of firsts, which I'm so happy with. Under Lindsay Deaton, we were the first trans-identified chorus to sing the national anthem at Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
Under me, we were the first trans chorus to sing the national anthem at the Democratic debates by CNN.
Wow.
And back then, Kamala and President Biden and Vice President Harris were running against each other for the presidency. Of course, we saw what happened. Little did I know, they were putting together, because they got inaugurated during COVID, little did I know they had remembered us. I was like, oh my gosh, they remembered us.
Wow.
So when they were inaugurated, they put together this thing called Pride Across America. Oh, those were the days. Oh my God, I just realized we're in a different time now. And so they chose 3 different choruses to sing with Sister Sledge, We Are Family.
Wow.
We couldn't talk about it. I'm like sitting on this for so long. I'm like, and then it happens. We're at the inauguration and it happens. We sing with them, with Sister Sledge and DJ Cassidy. And we couldn't believe it. People were like, what? Wait a minute. I had an aunt call me and she said, baby, I saw somebody like you on TV at the inauguration. And I'm like, that was me.
Oh my God. You weren't allowed to talk about it before? Like you couldn't?
We couldn't talk about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe because it's, I don't know, national security or what, but they told us keep it on the hush until it happens. So that was really, really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And we just keep lifting our voices. We would sing at any inauguration, really, to show trans pride and trans identity.
Yeah.
And I would challenge any administration to bring us on to prove that, to prove where you stand with the community. That would be great. Yeah. And we've recorded with a lot of people too.
Yeah. I mean, the list.
The list got really long.
Really long.
So when we first started, when I first started as artistic director, my background is in entertainment. So I thought, how can we get people to notice this chorus and notice us in a big way? Not because we're trans and non-binary, but because we're a group of good singers who happen to be trans and non-binary. So our first video was with this amazing artist named Maggie Zabo. I call her America's Kylie Minogue.
Okay.
So we did our first video with her. She had this video called Don't Give Up. I go to YouTube and watch her first original video.
Okay.
When she first came to us, and she's a cisgender woman, I was like, oh yeah, you just want to jump on the bandwagon. Then I saw the video she originally made, and I'm in tears with our executive director, Catherine Davis. And I was like, we have to do something with her. So we did that video with Maggie, and that really helped us get a jump in the in music.
Yeah.
You know, all around Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That really pushed it. And then right after that, we ended up getting a national campaign with Pantene for I'll Be Home for the Holidays, which changed our lives incredibly. And then after that,
I have goosebumps. Oh my
we
God.
just started like getting these side gigs with other artists that wanted to record with us and use us as background vocalists and feature us. So just quite recently, we did The Village with Rabel. We did 2 songs with Muna, which we are on their album that they did live at the Greek, which we're all still like, what?
The Greek,
Yeah.
I love
Boy
the Greek.
Genius, Jasmine T, the great Mila Jams, an amazing trans artist. She's this wonderful, wonderful singer. We got to work with Angelica Ross and Alex Newell and Noah Cyrus. Demi Lovato, all these things just started coming in because each one of these artists wanted to highlight trans-identified voices, but also they came in and they realized, wow, you guys can sing.
Right.
And we have some other stuff coming up too.
That's amazing. It's just once it kind of starts to snowball, and as it should, and the world needs to see more and more of you. So let's, promote it. Honestly, like I want to, every event that we do, I want to bring y'all in because it's just so powerful. We recently did a town hall after the wildfires in Los Angeles, and TCLA came and performed, and it was just so moving. I mean, brought people to tears. It was the hug that we all needed at that moment in time. So it's just joy, like queer joy. It's just trans joy. We just need to continue to promote it, especially now in this insane era.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I'm not trying to get political on this, but it's just people are trying to suppress and overpower and confuse, and it's working, and that's what they want, but we need to combat that with just really leaning into joy and love and togetherness, and take it one day at a time. And showing humanity and compassion and empathy, because we all deserve a place and a space here in these great United States. TGI community, we are not second class or third class citizens. We deserve our inalienable rights just like everybody else, and it's become difficult lately to not speak about that, or to not be angry or to not be scared. And it's really good that you're holding space right here, even in this way with the podcast, not going down that political dive, but just saying, hey, we need to hold space and acknowledge these things because it's people's lives. I mean, we both do. We have so many trans friends, and it's a really hard time for them right now. And it's just how I see it right now is that we all need to come together and support one another. Absolutely. And we're each going to take turns having a meltdown and a breakdown. Absolutely. And that's where the other person who is having a good day can then take the lead in that moment. Absolutely. And that's just how community works. And that's how we need to remember that we are so fortunate to have our chosen family. And that's why chosen family is so important for a queer community and baby gays. And that's the journey of finding the people that fit your values. And because queer, I think something for me when I was coming out and having zero connection to the queer community was that you just see it as this one group of people, and everyone's in that one group, and I thought everyone got along, and everyone's just like in this, everyone's in the queer, like that's them. And it's really not like that. And so it was very eye-opening to see how divided it is. And that's partly with BabyGay. I want to unite and really, kind of take away those differences. We all have childhood trauma, most likely.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we all just want love, and we all want to feel seen, and we all want support. So that's what I really just hope that we can continue to bring to each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that about like with BabyGay, because that's how I felt when I first met you and heard about BabyGay. And it was like, wow, I would have loved something like that kind of guidance when I first came out. you know, and you do find community, you find your tribe, but also knowing that it's just as diverse as all of life in all of the country. We have Republican gay and lesbian people, we have Democratic gay and lesbian people, we have liberals, we have LGBTQ plus people are everything on this planet. There's no one way. We're not a monolith. But you come into this community thinking, oh, and where did we learn that? Where did we learn what our community really is? We learned it from a cis heteronormative pattern of assumption and misleading and untruths. And so we have to find our way. So it's so great that you created BabyGay to kind of help folks find that way.
We need, especially with coming out, you know, it's such a pivotal point of life and there's a lot of unknown and it's scary and you're changing everything in a way, and it needs extra support. And that's where I really want BabyGay to be, just that first step for people, you know. And it's for the people who are still questioning too, to kind of like get their feet wet and learn more about it. Let's not go in being like, I'm the expert. This is how things go. No. It's let me learn about what is possible and what's out there, and let me try it. And like that's just how I feel life should be. It's like, tell me more about like where you grew up and your growing up experience.
Oh, I was born a small black child. No. So originally I'm from Philadelphia.
Okay.
We lived in Philly till I was a kid, about 13, 14. And then we moved to Los Angeles. So my background on my mom's side, my mom's family is Muslim.
Okay.
My mother had the audacity to convert to born again Christian in a non-Muslim family.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was tough, but what it really showed me was you be you. So when we moved out here to LA and, you know, fast forward years later, moved to LA, went to Hollywood High. So I know how to sing and dance, but I can't read or write. You know, that's all they cared about. No, sorry. Hollywood High does educate you in the basics, but if you're a magnet, you are there to sing and dance, which I love more than anything. So growing up out here, we moved from LA to Altadena. So that's why when you called us to talk about like coming in to sing at that town hall where the fires impacted so many people that I know. I live a half mile from Eaton Canyon, so my apartment was full of smoke. Luckily, we didn't lose it, but that whole area is so near and dear to my heart. Just one being one of the first African-American suburb enclaves of successful people was really devastating to watch all that happen and then know so many people that lost their homes up there. So we went from Altadena to Monrovia, which is 9 miles east. Most people that don't even know where Monrovia is still. It's just 9 miles east. Just keep driving until you see car dealerships.
Okay.
I came out probably in my like mid 20, I think I was like 24, 25.
Okay.
And my mother, who by then had been doing evangelism work, so she told me, your walk is your walk. Don't let anybody tell you what your walk is, because up until then I was like teaching Sunday school and dealing with the kids. And as soon as I came out, they were like, you can't do this anymore. So then you have that choice. Do I, as this one pastor said, and I can't remember his name, but he's a gay pastor. And he said, do I stay at the Church of Jesus or do I go to the Church of Samhain? So clearly I went to the Church of Samhain. What that did was renew my own faith, knowing that my own divineness is what I have to carry through life, and nobody can tell you what that is.
How do you identify? Are you religious now or
spiritual?
Spiritual. Same.
Spiritual, definitely, because every one of these holy books have one tenet in it that I think most people don't even pay attention to. Love. That's it. Love.
Literally.
It's that easy. It's the 21st century. We're on this planet. For example, the fire, that was a great unifier. All of a sudden, the noise about trans or gay or this or that was gone. It was muted. It was just, let's deal with that devastation. During COVID, same thing. why is it we have to wait until we're in peril before we realize our humanity?
It's simple. It's so simple, but yet so abstract. And it's just religion. I mean, we could talk all day about religion. It's like, it's all the same thing. Like, why are we fighting? It's literally the same thing. We all want the same thing. And that's kind of how I feel like. Yeah. Politically too, it's like we all ultimately kind of want the same thing. Yeah. I mean, maybe not, but I don't know. Maybe not. Well,
I think a few of them don't want us doing this podcast.
Yeah. True. So maybe not that, but I don't know. I can't we all get along?
You just want love. Exactly.
Why can't we all get along?
If it were, let me change that. Let me change what I just said.
Yeah.
I believe that it is and can be that easy. Like, I do believe that, like, when someone says, what do you want? And I say world peace.
Yeah.
They're like, that's ridiculous. We'll never have it. But we could. There's enough on this planet for everybody to have everything. Yeah. I heard this crazy thing that said, it was on YouTube, and it was like, humans are the only ones that pay to live. And I thought about that. I was like, wow.
That's profound.
We are the only ones that pay to live on this planet. Everything else, it's just here. It lives.
So you came out as, what did you come out as in 2020, like at 24?
I came out as a black gay man with a lot of sugar in the tank.
Okay.
And then, just lived my life as a gay man.
Okay.
I was married. My ex.
You were married?
Yeah. We were same spousal equivalent for 20 years, right out of college.
Wow.
Which was amazing.
Wow.
Then we split right when marriage equality happened.
Okay. It wasn't meant to be.
But we're still best friends. Our birthdays are one day apart. Wow. We cannot, hi Vince, we cannot get rid of each other. Not almost 9 years ago, I was working with Lindsay Deaton, the former artistic director, through HRC Human Rights Campaign. And we went to this HRC conference. And later that day, Lindsay said, Abby, how do you identify? I was like, what do you mean, girl? Yeah. She was like, how do you identify? I was like, girl, I'm a gay black man with a lot of sugar in the tank, neck roll and everything. And she was like, I think you're on a gender journey. And I was like, huh? She's like, I think you're on a gender journey. And at that same conference, it was like a symposium. I heard the definition of non-binary. I met somebody that said they were non-binary. They went by they, them pronouns. And they described being non-binary. And throughout their description, it just basically resonated that they were them. And it didn't matter whether you were presenting femme or masculine. It wasn't about that. It was just about how that duality resonates within you. Child, that blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's been it all these years. Because, I said a lot of sugar in the tank because I've done drag. I did a little ballroom and things like that. But it never like settled. It was always too much for the gay boys, not enough for the others. It was just always uneasiness there. And then I also realized that I've been in trans spectrums all my life. Like these amazing people that I thought were amazing drag queens, like Jasmine Creighton, who works for APAIT. She used to dominate LA. And I used to think she was a great drag queen. I actually had a autographed picture of her from when I was like 18. Aww. And here it is now. I realized she's this trans woman who works for an amazing organization that treats people with access, prevention, intervention, and treatment, and is a leader in the community. And she was like, I've always been a trans woman. It's like back then, we didn't have the words, we didn't use that terminology. And I did drag to make my money. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, oh, so I could dress like this and just be Abdullah, Abby, me. Yeah. Or I can not dress like this and be Abdullah, Abby, me.
Right.
The pronoun change, because he, him to me was never enough. And she, her was never enough. Both those kind of ring hollow in me. They're very, no offense to those in the TGI community that look for that binary, but they're very binary to me. It's very, always limiting. And it was something that I realized, oh, this is my superpower. Because it was something that was used against me all the time.
Exactly.
I mean, you're a little kid and somebody's saying to you when you're 5, you're going to make somebody a great wife one day, not knowing what that is because you're a 5-year-old, or, oh, they're that way. That's the way they used to say if you were gay in my family. You know, they never said gay or queer or any of that. And my grandmother would just say that way. Or sensitive.
Yeah.
They're just sensitive.
My grandma was like, you should be a priest. My Italian grandma, who I love, she was so sweet, she was amazing, but she's like, you need to be a priest.
That's good.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think so. That's not gonna work.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we go through these things where our families try to mold us, and it's ironic that the current conversations is we're trying to mold children when they never question molding in heteronormativity.
Right.
I deliberately do not give my nieces dolls. I deliberately don't. I'll give them a construction set.
Yeah.
I'll give them anything else. But it's just like, why?
Same.
Why are you trying to force motherhood upon them? Or I will equally give my nieces and nephews the exact same gift.
Right.
So if I'm going to give her a doll, I'll give him a doll. And then when the parents like, oh my God, you're giving them a doll. Why? I said, because it's a doll.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking what you're thinking.
Yeah.
They look at that doll. When you see I'm going to use the terms boy and girl. When you see a little boy pick up a doll and goes like this, he's not being feminine.
No.
What he did was observe mommy and daddy doing that.
Yeah.
But they can't look at it that way.
And he can be paternal, like have that paternal instinct already.
How about that? How about us putting that out there? How about us showing that these are just human experiences that you can have? Matter of fact, let the little boy clean up. Give him the kitchen set. Let him learn how to cook and be self-sufficient. They're so scared of those things. But
Hey, Baby Gays, if you're enjoying the podcast and you're interested in learning more about the Baby Gay community, make sure to visit our website at www.baby.gay to discover more info about our events, merch, and all the ways to connect. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share. Love you. Did you play? Because I loved Barbies. Like, I would steal my older sister's Barbies and play with them and like nonstop. Like, that's all I wanted. Did you have a similar or?
So I have one sister, but our mother was a seamstress. So we always had like costumes and glitter and all the stuff around the house. So we would make our Barbie clothes and then I do their hair. Then my Barbie, well, I took it from Naya, my sister. Barbie would date G.I. Joe and like totally like, I played with them. What I loved about it is I would create all these like storylines and worlds and everything. I mean, like you look on Insta right now and you got like Barbie doing Wicked. Well, I was doing that as a kid. Now these kids are getting paid for doing something that we were shunned doing. What they were really allowed was to keep that creativity going. And we were like, no, you can't do that. Play with G.I. Joe. Well, I'm letting you know now, G.I. Joe made me gay because he was hot.
He was hot.
He was super hot.
And I was looking at his penis. Sorry.
Exactly. His chest, the beard and everything. I'm like, I like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So then when you came out as non-binary, was it a similar, like, what was your journey comparatively to coming out as gay?
So coming out as gay, I was very fortunate. I have wonderful family that's just supportive of me. Duba's Duba. I have many names. Duba is another childhood name. And my brothers and my sister, they all were like, Anne. Some of my best friends, they were all like, finally, especially in college. They're like, I was like, I'm not gay. I'm a Christian. What are you talking about? I was like, no, you're gay.
Yeah.
But coming out non-binary, that was a little bit different because I got pushback from my gay friends more than anybody else. They just had, some of them, not all of them, but most of them just had a really just hard time dealing with pronouns. What does that mean? You're going to transition into a woman? I'm like, no, that's not what non-binary is. This is a gender journey. Well, do you still like men? Yes. But it's a gender journey. And then I started identifying as queer. So that even added another layer. And so one of my friends, I won't name them, said, well, what do you mean queer? Well, if I go out with somebody who's trans mass, trans femme, or gay, where does that put me? Mm-hmm. Does it put me in your binary box, or does it make me queer? And I know a lot of older L and G people hate that word, just like the N word. I've reclaimed it for myself. I don't think it's for everybody. Yeah. But for me, the queer resonated the most. I was like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. But I was shocked a little bit that I got so much pushback from my gay friends. But then as I started going through my own journey, I realized as a gay man, for all those years I spent as a gay man, I never did anything for TDOR, Transgender Day of Remembrance. Mm-hmm. I wasn't at any of the vigils. For that TDOR has been going on for 24 years. So for 15 of those years as a gay man, I was unaware, even though that trans community was right there. That was me. That was not them. That was me. Yeah. And I think a lot of us in the LGBTQ, but a lot in the L and G, we forget about that. Yeah. And you have to educate yourself. Go to the LGBT Center. All that information is there. Yeah. Those resources are there. Yeah. The trans community has been here helping you get all your gay rights. Yeah. Yep. For marriage equality, all the trans men and women and non-binary people were right there. Yeah. But if a trans woman is killed and there's a protest, where's my brothers and sister siblings in community? Yeah. So that was really, really eye-opening to me over those years.
Yeah, I mean, that was something for me, and I've shared this many times, but I will continue to share it because me having zero connection to the queer community before coming out, it just doesn't compute. Like it does not compute. And then learning, I mean, this is something about me coming out later and then learned about queer history through the BabyGay Project and found out that there's so much queer history in Los Angeles, one. So that's, I mean, we're sitting in queer history literally right now. Yeah. So that's incredible. But, and that information, that knowledge needs to be shared because it's not taught in schools. Now it's being banned in books. Like, absolutely. It needs to be discussed much more frequently. But also then learning more specifically about, like, let's say Stonewall riots when the gay rights movement in New York was happening and there was such a divide between the gays and lesbians versus the trans. And it's like, and it's still happening today. And it's just, we just need to get rid of that. We're on the same team. We're on the same team.
They don't care that we have our own interdimension. They look at us all as whatever enemy they look at, whatever deviant they look at. We have to remember to look within ourselves and take away that that's part of our childhood trauma. Yeah. They learned that from mommy and daddy growing up, to look at those differences. There's a great trans woman that I just met named Ava Aubrey. Ava Aubrey was one of the best friends of Sir Lady Java. Two trans women who, Sir Lady Java just died. She was like, I think 82. Miss Eva is 83. Two black trans women who worked in entertainment. You can look it up, Google both of them, who worked in entertainment, who survived. When I met them, I bowed down to her because I did not know there was a black trans woman that lived past the age of 35. Because most black trans women don't live past that age. When I met Queen Shayla Demure, who runs the Unique Women's Coalition, which is a black-led trans women's coalition, to meet her at her age, and she's a survivor, and have this organization. These parts of our history we don't have. A huge part of our history, to be totally honest, was wiped out during the AIDS epidemic. Yeah. And that's for all of us. Yeah. But even in the storytelling of the AIDS epidemic, we focus on gay men who are all gone. We didn't focus on lesbians that were taking care of them. And we often say lesbians taking care of them. Yeah. But we also forget trans women were taking care of all of them. Taking care of all of them. So how did we get this disjointed history when we really need to just teach history, herstory, their story? Yeah, literally. That's what we need to be teaching. Yeah. And so that's what's so great about BabyGay, giving that knowledge out, letting them know that you come from many shoulders you stand upon. Even in these dark times right now where we see LGBT rights being stripped away, we've seen the T removed federally.
Literally.
Federally.
Yeah.
So how do you talk about Stonewall and say there's no transgender there? Like, that made no sense. I thought that was their first mistake. I'm like, whomever threw the first brick, it was either a trans man or trans woman, period.
Yeah.
That was it. But it's so important that we put this out there for our LGBTQ history.
Yeah.
We have to let the young ones know.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like now, even though I push against it, when they like, oh, you're an elder now. I'm like, I'm not an elder.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, I'm a Gen Xer, but I'm not an elder.
So the elder, it's much more of just like a funny thing. It happened organically.
Yes.
Like, we were having booths at Prides, and we had hats that said Baby Gay. They sell really well. And then we had some other folks that were saying, where's your elder gay hat? Like, I'm not a baby gay. I was like, okay, haha. And then it just kept happening. I was like, fine, I'll make an elder gay hat. And they've just done really well. And we've evolved it. So it's like that concept of mentorship, because I don't view it as age. I view it as, are you a mentor or a mentee?
Exactly.
And that is actually one of the big initiatives that we want to do with Baby Gay, is create a mentorship program between baby gays and elder gays.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So that's on the docket. So check that out in the future. And really, I think it's important because the queer community is one of the only minority groups that we don't necessarily have our direct elders to teach us the history or about the culture.
Absolutely.
And it really puts the onus on the individual to learn those things. And that's a daunting task. And it's that's where we just want to be that community to help people through that. So.
Yeah. That is really good because those conversations come up. I'm on the board of Gala Choruses, which is Gay and Lesbian Choral Association. Okay. In the United States, there's over 250 gay identified, trans identified, queer identified, let's put it, say queer identified choruses throughout the United States. Gala Choruses is an organization that kind of rallies them all together, puts together symposiums, knowledge, events, things like that. And one of the things that we talk about is intergenerational dynamics within queer culture. Yeah. Taking our younger ones and our older ones and bridging that gap. Because
there's so much to learn from each other.
Yes. To learn from each other, to experience from each other. Like the younger ones, when you tell them about the AIDS quilt, they don't really get it. So you need the older ones who were there to let them know what that quilt is and what it represented, or the names of these courses. Well, why is it called the Gay Men's Course? I feel like I can't join because I'm non-binary or I'm trans. Well, that came out of activism. During that time, people were dying, so they created this course to use their voices, which is what we did with the trans course. You know, we came out of that activism of saying, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to use music as our vehicle. And that is what's so great about, that's the greatness of the queer community abroad. We will be heard. We will be heard because without us, the arts is gone. It's literally
period.
Gone,
like, that's where all the beautiful art is.
Yes.
It's by the queers.
Yes.
For the queers, by the queers.
Yes. And that's how history, we're the griots of this planet. If they would really look at what queer identified people add to this planet, we're the storytellers. We pass that knowledge on. You know, my oldest brother, he knows a little bit about our family. My sister knows none. My younger brother doesn't even care. But yet I have older aunts, uncles, and cousins that will call me and say, who was Aunt so-and-so on grandma's side that knew her second cousin? Why is it the queer ones always know all this? Because, you know, I was always listening to everything the older ones were saying. I'm like,
storytelling.
Yes.
And it's also the theatrical background.
Yes.
We love the storytelling element. What's been your journey as a performer? Just in general.
Mine as a performer, oh wow. It's so funny because being the AD, I don't get to do as much solo stuff that I used to do, but my major background is musical theater. I've done a lot of musical theater here in Southern California. I love singing more than probably breathing, but you need both of those.
You do. Yeah.
Right now I am working on trying to do a little one person something.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I've been so focused with the chorus and making sure that's there.
Yeah.
And I don't use the chorus as my vehicle. I'm the conduit to keep it together. My own actual stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working on a one-person show.
That's incredible.
So move over, Billy Porter.
Keep us posted.
Yes.
Yes. We want to promote. We want to come.
Thank you.
Yes. How far along are we?
In the baby stages.
Okay.
Baby stages.
Great.
Well, I was so reluctant on doing something because I just love being in creative spaces.
Yeah.
So I worked at Paramount Pictures for 20 years in business and legal affairs. And that's all. I went there thinking, oh, I'm going to be discovered. And actually, I'll tell you a side story.
Yeah.
I used to walk from Hollywood High to Paramount and stand in front of the gate.
Hey, I'm here.
And I would do that. And my mom did a lot of extra work. My mother was an actress too. So she started getting gigs on the Paramount lot.
Cool.
And so I would go up there after school, and this is before 9/11 and security and everything. And I'm just like, oh, my mom's here. She's working on stage 21. And they're like, go ahead and kid. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like on the lot, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. So manifested that. Yeah, I was there. But make sure you're specific with manifesting. I meant as a performer. I got in through the legal department, but there I found out I'm a really good producer. And I just became a sponge and contracts. And I realized that everyone is beneficial to the creation of a movie or television. Down to the person that's cleaning out that trash at the end of the night, down to security, down to people over in the commissary, down to every lawyer and every assistant, that is working on these deals. Without those people, you wouldn't have these movies. And I just soaked up things like a sponge and got to work with some really amazing producers like the great A.C. Lyles, who's no longer with us. He just told me, he said, if you want to be a producer, get to know everybody.
It's
so
true.
That's what I started doing.
It's so true.
Getting to know everybody there. I mean, Sherry Lansing, who was one of the first female executives there. I'm like, oh my God, this is Sherry Lansing. And like, I see her at events now and she sees what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh my God, you know me? Really? But I love entertainment, soup to nuts. So you have to find what is your passion in it. You know, I love creating content. I love creating entertainment. I love creating art and song. And so if I'm in that capacity, I'm so happy. But sometimes you have to feel that inner solo part. You know, we talked about Howard Fine and Meisner and sometimes I hear my mother, God bless her soul, say, I did not spend all that money for you to be here doing this. You need to go that next step. So,
No, I mean, I can relate. Another one of those parallels. I was the assistant at ICM and 3 Arts, and it's just, and I remember the first time I went on a studio lot, and it's just like, oh my God, this feeling like this is magic. There's like this energy here that was so powerful. And it just like, I'll never forget it. It's been so interesting to see how the industry has evolved and is changing. And I really hope that we don't necessarily lose those beautiful, iconic places in our culture. But we'll see. I mean, it's different now. And, but that doesn't mean, I feel like the joy that comes there, the talking about like following that inner voice and that creative voice and what fulfills you. Like, I was thinking about a podcast for a long time, but I was like, oh, that's a lot of work and that's a job in itself. But I kept thinking about it, and since then we're in the development stage, and I'm loving every minute. And it takes a lot of work, but I love doing it. It doesn't feel like work, and that's because it's meant to be, and it's I don't know. It's exactly. It feels so divinely guided, and
absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And what better, you know, when we think about work and everything, and, you know, I love when actors like, oh my God, it's such hard work. I'm like, I like to talk to artists about this. So I have this side business called the Hollywood Disruptor, where I do consultations with the artists, helping you find a pathway for doing what it is you want to do. Now, there's a difference. Do you want to be an actor? You can be an actor anywhere on this planet. Do you want to be a movie star? That's different. That's a different pathway. Do you want to be on Broadway? Musical theater, that's a different pathway. But actors are taught to not value ourselves if we're not doing what Hollywood says. And I got this from working in the belly of the beast. Because the whole, Esther Blodgett, get off the bus and you were discovered and look at you. I'm a star. No, that was created by us. That's why there's been so many versions of A Star Is Born.
Right.
Because they created that story. Now, what you can create as an artist is, where do I want to be? So, for example, if you are a singer and you do musical theater and you're not doing Broadway, you're not doing local shows, you have to remember you are just as valid if you get a gig over at Disney doing their live shows 5 times a week. You're getting paid to sing. How amazing is that? You're still doing what you love doing. You're doing a podcast. You're still doing what you love doing. We were taught, I'll do it for free. No more. No, you know who should do it for free? Doctors. That's who should do it for free. We spend so much money, time, effort in honing our craft and becoming this artist. I mean, like you went to Howard. I mean, like basically Howard Fine, that is. Basically, if we were doctors, we would be working at Johns Hopkins. We would be working at the best of the best.
Totally.
So as artists, we're taught to be a little humble, be this, be that. No, find your pathway, right? Bryan Cranston said, I just wanted to make sure that I can maintain as an actor with my bills and everything. He to me is one of the best examples of a working actor. Because though we all know him from Breaking Bad, dude was in the business for 25 years before Breaking Bad. Taraji P. Henson says that now, 20 years later, now everybody. Viola Davis, same thing. Or have what I call the Jacqueline Smith effect. The only angel on Charlie's Angels to stay from beginning to end. And she said, I had one job. I just show up and do my lines. It's not about me saying, I'm going to do this step, this step. She's like, as a working actor, I just wanted to work. And having that understanding that don't let Hollywood validate you. Don't follow that path. That's not artistry, that's business. That's why they call it show business. I'm now going to show you the business of show. So now look at yourself as this entity that I have a product, which is me. How do I sell that product? How do I put it out there? And it's not about doing classes or this or that. You must have the talent. You must have the skill set, which I see so many young people don't have that.
I mean, that's, if you don't got it, you don't got it. But that was something that I learned when I was coming from an agency background to then going to the actor side, that I felt, concerned that I was starting later, but then I was like, wait a minute, like everything I learned on the agency side is so valuable in terms of thinking about exactly like you're saying. It's not a talent. Obviously talent is so important, but it's not the whole thing. There's so many super talented people that you don't know their names because there's the business side that it's more, you have to have tenacity. You have to have, be able to be a good worker and have people like you just to I want to see that person again because they were kind, they were on time, they were respectful. There's more than just the talent side of things. To make it work. Yeah, because you look at it and we live in LA. So who's not an actor? Right. We can't hire ourselves. So how do you make yourself different? And it's not just the whole, how do you make yourself different? If you look at it with more of a business mind than just the talent, you already got the talent. You've already educated yourself. You've already honed your skills. Now that side is done. Now look at the business side of how do they hire people? Who's getting cast in what? Everybody, remember when everybody was doing a webisode? Everybody had a webisode. Everybody thought they were going to be the next big webisode. Well, there's 3 that I can name that really became big. Awkward Black Girl, Stella, the guys from Stella, which got pulled on Comedy Central, and Broad City. Those 3 got pulled right off of there.
You look at Key and Peele, both of them were working for Mad TV, and they go all the way back to Mad TV, SNL. They weren't new.
Yeah.
They've been out there for like 20 years. Now you look at Schmigadoon and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But they've been out there. I think a lot of those people just started looking at it from a business aspect, not just a talent aspect. And that's what I help artists do of all disciplines. It's just, how do you want to make your money? How do you want to make this career? Don't let them define it for you. We are actors, whether we are in front of a set, whether we're doing a podcast on set, in front of a camera or not. I'm still an actor. I'm still a singer. Whether you know me on a broad scale like Beyonce or John Legend or not, I'm a singer too. It doesn't make me less than.
Correct.
Because I'm not signed to someone's label.
Correct. So this is actually a good transition, because from your coming out experience on whatever level you want, was there a piece of media that stuck with you of being really helpful, like a book or a movie or a TV show or music to recommend to the baby gays?
It was RuPaul's first book.
Okay.
I remember being 24 years old, reading this passage in his book, talking about loving yourself. And Ru is amazing, because if you look at their evolution of everything they've done, that's been their one tenet. Even when people didn't believe in them. I mean, they went from hawking cassettes from that car to how many, like 14, 15, 16 Emmys now? Who would have thought that a drag queen would have the #1 rated family show in America? But I remember walking on Sunset Boulevard and yelling out, I love me. I love myself. And I got that from Ru's book. That book was life-changing.
For your journey of life, has there been a mentor that has really stuck out to you? There's
so many mentors, because some of those mentors are ancestors that have pushed me through, that I really feel that, like, this is going to sound crazy. I've never talked about this. Literally, I feel like I've always had like James Baldwin and Langston Hughes and just little snippets of queerness that you would hear about or see, but not know what it was. But main mentor that I could say, besides my mom, because she was really good, and if she were here on this earth, she'd probably be sitting in that booth telling me, like, tell this story, tell that story. One of my really good friends, Dr. Catherine Davis, who runs the chorus, who used to run the chorus with me, an amazing trans woman, PhD, and her whole thing. One thing that I learned from Catherine the most is she just wanted to be a good role model for future trans children. She's not trying to be the glamour doll or anything more than just, I want them to see that you can have a PhD. I want them to see that you can live well. I want them to see that you can survive. You could be a parent. Her children still call her dad, and she's totally fine with that. It's great when we go to a bar and you see this older white woman and her big three sons saying, hey, Dad, want a beer? And she's like, yeah. And the bartender's like, what the? Yes, that's their dad. And that ownership of her trans walk of saying, this is who I am, that's been just really inspiring. Jasmine Creighton at APAIT and Jory Candelaria, Queen Shayla Demure. When I met these people as a young baby non-binary, baby MB. Ooh, that's the next shirt.
I know,
baby MB.
Baby MB. I love that.
Baby MB.
Love it.
They were the ones that kind of took me under their wing and guided me. I'll never forget that Jasmine told me, because I just get so entrenched in trying to bring these children in and help them. And she's like, Abby, you're not going to be able to save everybody. Even in our community, you're not going to be able to rescue everybody. You have to work with the ones that want to be there. That was like, what? Because you're just giving of yourself and giving of yourself when you work in nonprofit.
Yeah.
And you realize you got to make sure you're
filling your cup.
Exactly. So those are just some of the great mentors. Bambi Salcedo, oh my gosh, just all these trans and non-binary people that just really touched my life. Lucky Fuller, who runs Invisible Men, which is a trans male-led organization. When I met them, they just kind of embraced me and saw the work that I was doing with TCLA. And I think that's what really helped me and helped them really say, let's build them up, let's help them.
Yeah.
Because they really are doing something that's important.
Yeah.
And I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that because going from Paramount Pictures where you have everything to nonprofit where it's like, can we afford pens?
I know.
Can we buy the good Sharpies or do I need to go to the dollar store for Sharpies? You know how that is.
I do really know.
Wow.
Oh, they answered my call yesterday, but they don't answer my call today.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, got it.
Oh, when I had that logo under me, I could get anybody, anything.
Yeah.
Now it's like trans chorus, like who is that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who? How'd you get this number?
Yeah.
I'm the same person. I'm just doing something different.
Yeah.
And I feel as much as I love that studio because it was the studio I wanted to be at since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I know their entire
and you manifested
catalog.
it.
Yeah. I feel more fulfilled going into the Connie Norman Transgender Empowerment Center, doing the work that we're doing there than I did all those years in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
It's just
you can't even
amazing.
compare it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Quick side question, because this came up because I'm struggling with this and I just want your thoughts. Like with you have nieces and nephews. What do they call you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my nieces and nephews still call me Uncle Duba.
Yeah.
They still call me Uncle Duba. My niece, I have a niece that has 7 children, and she asked if I wanted them to call me something different.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you all comfortable with? And they're like, I like Uncle Duba. And the little ones can't say Duba.
Yeah.
Duba means fat baby in Arabic anyway.
Okay.
So they still call me that.
Cute.
But I call them now, I will say my nibblings because I found out that was a non-binary way of saying nieces and nephews. And I think it sounds cuter.
Yeah. No,
What about you?
It is so cute. Well, that's the same thing. I am still getting uncle and it doesn't sit well with me. And I'm in search of something else, but I haven't found what that is yet. And it's,
yeah, the uncle doesn't bother me so much. Auntie does not fit. I didn't want to be an auntie.
Yeah.
I can't stand gunkle. I'm sorry, because I'm not really the gunkle, even though my ex's nieces and nephews say gunkle still.
Yeah.
But what do we call ourselves? Because sometimes partner sounds like, okay, we have a law firm together. I don't know, side piece. What are you going to say when you get married?
So we are on our final segment.
No!
I know. This flew
I could
by.
be here all day.
Literally. It's called My First Time.
Okay.
So our guests share their first queer crush or their first queer kiss or queer date or queer sex experience or whatever first.
Oh, wow. I saw this question too, and I still couldn't think of which one I wanted to do. I won't name names.
Okay.
But the first guy, like this is BabyGay.
Yeah.
Was doing a show here in Hollywood called Satch's Place. This person might know who they are just by that show.
They know who they are.
And so one of my colleagues in that show was an older gay man. I was very new. I wasn't even out yet. But I ended up giving him a ride home, even though he had a car. I was like, didn't dawn on me, like, why is he asking me for a ride home?
Yeah.
Take him home. He like puts his hand on my knee and he's like, I think you're really nice, really pretty, and and I just want to kiss you. And we're kissing and we're making out and everything. My first experience, and he's like, oh, I just want to take you in my house and tie you up. and make you my slave.
Oh.
So me being black and this person not being black, I was like, I did not understand BDSM culture or anything yet. You might want to let somebody know these things before just saying that. Yeah. But it was so awkward after that because it was super hot too. And I'm like, I did not know he meant that kind of slave. I just
Can you
thought,
clarify, please?
Yeah. And I was too scared to ask him.
Yeah.
So that was really awkward.
So did you go on time?
No.
Okay.
No, I was like scared he was going to make me a slave.
Okay.
No, and the other one, I did have another experience in theater school. There's this great, there's summer repertory theater up north.
Okay.
And my second encounter with a guy, and he answered the door. And it's always older men too, and they're never like the way you picture it in your head. And he opened up the door with this silk kimono. It looked very stereotypical, old school gay, and I was just like, and not knowing how to speak up for yourself, like having that empowerment to be able to say, no, I'm not really feeling this
Actually,
or anything. No. I didn't want to be rude. But he looked like Mr. Furley. Yeah. No offense. I mean, it was just not the fantasy that I was looking for. But then when I did get a real boyfriend, I got that fantasy.
You get
that first real boyfriend that took me in his bedroom and he knows who he is. And there was rose petals on that bed. Yes. Do whatever you wanted to do.
Yes.
That came later, but that was like, I've been waiting for this one. Yeah. And check this out. Talk about being such a baby gay. I became obsessed with him.
Yeah.
I showed up at his job. He used to work at the Geffen. You know who you are, and we're cool with this. And I was much younger than he was, and he eventually broke up with me at a Star Trek film. And I never watched Star Trek movies after that again for years. No. So you know who you are.
No, we're Star Trek for me.
God, they messed up Star Trek for the longest time for me. I was like, I can't. But that I did get, that first boyfriend where you're just like head over heels and you don't realize you're being kind of cray. Yeah. I was cray. Yeah. You show up at his job? I'm like, oh my God, I went to his job. Why?
Well, Abby, thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. I literally could talk all day long.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Where can people follow you and TCLA?
So you can follow Transcourse of Los Angeles at transcoursela.org. There's a little button on there. It's blue. It's called Donate. Please donate. We rely on your kindness. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and TikTok. You can also find me on all the social medias under Abdullah Hall. And also, you can always look at the Renberg Theater to find TCLA there because that's where we do all our shows now.
Yay. Yes. Well, thank you for coming out, Abby.
Thank you. This was fun.